OK, let's get on with topic number one. When actor Zac Efron took part in a Facebook video to celebrate the Earth Day last month, speculation on the internet went mad. It was rife about whether or not he'd had cosmetic surgery. He's maintaining a sphinx-like silence. He won't say anything about it either way. But new statistics do show that men's interest in altering their appearance, particularly facially, has exploded in lockdown, with a rise in consultation requests, hair transplants, what's called Botox, and, of course, fillers. And this comes as more than a third of men feel genuinely under pressure to have the perfect body. Zac, of course, is a Hollywood star. You, Martin, have been a pop star. You kind of still are. Did you feel under the microscope about the way you looked?
Oh, always. Yeah, when I was 17, I was in the band, so I was always aware of how I looked, you know. But I think nowadays, we are so much more kind of health conscious and body aware than we ever have been. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a generational thing as well. I think if you'd have said to my dad, right, about looking after his body when he was busy making his lard sandwiches to go to work, literally lard taken out of the, you know, the roast dinner tray from the Sunday before.
He literally was a lard ass.
Lard sandwich.
Yeah, okay,
if you'd have said to him, right, about body awareness, he would have laughed, you know. In fact, the only kind of exercise equipment that he would have known is that kind of set of springs you could buy in the back of a Batman comic that Mr. Universe used to
catch
sell
the
you.
chest hairs when they
Yes,
got together. Ow!
So I think it changes, you know.
Yeah. Well, I would have thought that social media is a big change. I mean, when you were doing Top of the Pops, that was it. You did Top of the Pops. You couldn't hear what people were shouting at the television screen at home. Now, kids do Top of the Pops. They go on their iPhones and they're seeing what people are saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you know it more than I do.
Yeah, I think that's hitting the nail on the head, really. I feel like now everything is so accessible. You see everyone's life as they put it out there, and everyone wants you to perceive their life as being perfect. You know, someone will upload a gym selfie. They've been in the gym for 2 hours. They've taken 50 pictures. They've got the right angle. They look the best they can look, and they put that up there as if it's normal. And when you're flooded with that, when you see certain shows, and it's the norm is to have a six-pack. That's the norm. If you don't have that, it's kind of like that was an attribute.
So when you made it into television and you were doing your dances and stuff, did you feel that you weren't measuring up?
When we first went on Britain's Got Talent, I was 16, and at my heaviest, I went to like just under 23 stone, and I was only 16 at this point. You know, so I've always
6'6", aren't you?
6'5". So I've always been quite a big dude, and like you can see here, there's like if you compare me to the other boys, you know. All they got to do is sneeze and they get an ab. And then there was me. I looked at a slice of chocolate cake and it felt like I gained a stone. That was always the way, you know. Yeah. And at first, it was difficult when we first started because you're part of the biggest dance group in the country. You're young. I'm 16. And to be blunt, I felt like a bit of a fraud because, you know, all my friends are dancing around, flipping around, concentrating on having the time of their lives. And there was me at the back trying to figure out how to disguise myself and kind of get away with a routine.
Yeah.
And then, you know, again, we spoke about you get the pressures of social media. And then for me, I went too far the other way. I then was 6'5" and ended up weighing 11.5 stone. Oh, wow. I literally went way too far the other way because of all the pressures that I felt to be a certain way. And then I
would have thought that you being a kind of a trendsetter and a kind of a setter of a trend for an image would be the last person to be worried and anxious about the way you look. So I would have thought you just took it in your stride.
I would say in the last year it's been the worst it's ever been. Between lockdown and not being as active and not doing this, you go on social media and it's like there's a bunch of people who are out and about and, you know, they're making their best of their life of lockdown and, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then there's me at home with my kids like, pass me the Pringles, please.
I mean, it's all porky pies, right? I mean, exactly as you describe. I think social media, Instagram being the very worst, has done more violence to all of our mental health, but especially young people who put out, exactly as you described, completely false images of this perfect life. All of it is complete and utter nonsense. I think the way I describe it is sort of halitosis of the human soul. And the consequence is that there's been more pressure than ever to live up to this false narrative of how people are supposed to look. Look, objectification of whatever gender is really bad. And we do have to admit, because there'll be lots of women watching it, it is always worse, and it has been worse for years, and probably will continue to be for women. I think one of the things we need to talk about...
We are catching up.
We are, but I do think we need to talk about this. You know, I'm sure it affected Zac Efron, who's very beautiful in whatever lighting, as are all of you. But there's something we need to talk about, which is about resilience as well, and giving people who comment on your body image your absolute, aggressively undivided indifference. Bullying is always about the bully. And I think we need to talk about that. It seems to me that part of the conversation, sure, is about tackling this, but also having the self-confidence to say, if you're going to write something mean or nasty, ultimately that's about you. Why are you sitting up all night wearing a muumuu and chain-smoking parliaments? Get a life.
I totally endorse that. You took part in this programme's Body Stories campaign, didn't you? And I haven't seen these pictures until today. It passed me by, but you are ripped.
I know, that's what that's what you call, as a friend of mine said, that's a Bob Fock. You see, body of Baywatch, face of Crime Watch.
Thank God it was that. I was worried about something else. When you moved from the law into television, and you very quickly, overnight, you became a kind of a household name and very recognisable, did you find that your body awareness changed, that you were more self-conscious about the way you look? Not
so much my body awareness. I mean, one of the things about being in the law and being covered with the robe is that I'm evaluated by my brag. And in fact, it's true to say I wore the same suit for every winter. I wore the same suit for every interview for about 3 years, and I encourage Nadia Sawalha to do exactly the same thing on this show. On day 2 of wearing the same outfit, people were phoning in, wondering whether she's taken leave of her senses. So things were a little bit different. But I do fitness for my mental health, and that's why I took part in that. And I really like having a conversation about that. I've got a 1-pack now after lockdown, I'm afraid. Go on.
I have a no-pack, I can assure you. But from my perspective, what I've noticed, I've been in television since the dawn of time, you know, and I joined Border Television in 1978. And what I've noticed is that there is much more attention on the way men, even men of my decrepit age, and I'm 65 today, right? People are
We all want to look like you at 65.
Yeah. Well, I am, and I've been in it that long.
I look older than you now.
Oh, cobblers. But I've noticed that even old men like me come under a lot of pressure to explain how we look. So, for example, I was born blonde. I was Boris Johnson blonde when I was a little boy. I got a picture of me when I was about 4 on my dad's lap. So I have been told that as blonde-born people, as they go grey, particularly men, the sun, and like swimming, wet hair and the sun in the summer, will make you go a bit blonde again. That's happened to me. I have been accused again and again and again of dyeing my hair, of putting streaks in my hair, and I haven't. But I've had to put up with this, you know, for 2 or 3 years. But sometimes you can actually walk into a trap of your own making. I don't know if anybody remembers what happened to me on GMB about a year ago. This got so much attention. I was sitting in for Piers Morgan, right? It was 3:30 in the morning in the kitchen. My face was all dry from shaving. I put on some moisturiser, got in the car, drove in. Flash forward to 8 o'clock, and I could hear the director in the gallery whispering to people, and there was giggling going on. I said, what? And we went into a break, and I said, what are you laughing at? And they said, you're trending, Richard. And I said, why? And they said, because you're going darker and darker and darker. And they got a shot of me. And I was doing a Donald Trump. And it turned out what I'd done is, you know, at 3 in the morning, I put my daughter's artificial tan on, and it was strong stuff. It was Factor, God knows what. And look at that. It was humiliating. But the attention that got...
You do look a little bit like George Michael there, I've got to say.
No,
or my shirt, either one.
Yeah.
But the attention... I mean, and that's funny, and it was very funny, and I was able to talk about it the next day. But the point is, it got column inches. And all it was a bit of, you know, accidental fake tan. So we are all under much more scrutiny, I think, whether we're in the public eye or not.
Yeah.